Yeah.
Excellent. So, just a brief introduction for everyone. We will start right now. I know there are some people are going to start connecting in a couple of minutes, but we should start because we need to respect everyone's time in Juan's time as well. So, just as a brief introduction for everyone, my name is Mariana Zamudio. I live in Monterrey, Mexico, and I'm the coordinator for the CEMEX Tech Award, which is a global award for social entrepreneurs and social innovation projects. I will talk a little bit more about the award at the end of this webinar, just for you to know. But I wanted to talk to you very briefly about what this series of webinars are about. The CEMEX Tech Center and the CEMEX Tech Award, in collaboration with some of our allies, such as Disruptivo TV, Ashoka, Make Sense, Impact Hub, and Arise, have created these programs of free webinars, which are oriented to reconnect, redesign, and rethink our ventures, our organizations, or every project which we developed with the objective of strengthening those projects. So today we're here with Juan del Cerro. I will give a very brief introduction because Juan will probably talk more about himself, but Juan del Cerro is convinced of the potential of social entrepreneurs and social innovation to solve major social problems. He is the founder of Disruptivo TV and Social Lab Mexico, which he will present to us in a minute. And he's been winner of numerous awards, among them the National Entrepreneurship Award, for his work promoting the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So without further ado, I'm giving Juan the microphone.
Thank you so much, Mariana. I hope that everybody can see us and hear us properly. I am very happy to be here. We had a very similar webinar a couple of weeks ago in Spanish, so it's really cool to be reaching new audiences now, more global audience in English as well. So it's pretty cool. I'm happy to be here. We've been partners since Disruptivo and Social Lab with CEMEX Tech for 2 or 3 years now, helping out with the award. It's a really cool. Trust me, we know a lot of awards and a lot of recognitions. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. I don't know if you can hear them or not. Hope that they'll be quiet soon. It's part of life. It's part of living life at home and working from home. So yeah, I mean, we've been part of the CEMEX Tech Award for a while now, for a couple of years. It's an amazing award. It's an amazing effort. Like we know and we participated with a lot of organizations, and trust me, guys, the award that CEMEX Tech has is one of the best I've personally seen, and we've collaborated with them. This is not just to make Mariana happy. This is because it's real. And it's one of the only ones I know that forms a global community of social entrepreneurs. So it's really cool opportunity. Let's talk about communicating impact. Um, it's one of my passions. It's actually the combination of two of my biggest passions: communication and impact and social impact, social entrepreneurship. I won't really talk a lot about myself. I'll just give a very brief introduction so you guys know who I am, and then I'll go straight to the content. I am a founder of Disruptivo, which is it's the only media the only media outlet focused on social entrepreneurship in Spanish. We do a lot of content. We do podcasts, videos, events. We also do a lot of education. We do books. We do webinars. We do online and offline courses. We teach at universities. Like, we're all around Mexico, in a lot of places in Latin America, in a couple more around the world, bringing social entrepreneurship to everyone. So we have a pretty cool audience in over 45 countries. So yeah, like I said, we mix up business, social impact, and communication to do this. And we also have an accelerator called Social Lab, which we're also partners with CEMEX Tech, doing some amazing stuff. And there we go from helping entrepreneurs that get inspired by our content to actually get started and to actually build their own companies. So I have a presentation. I don't really like go like slide after slide, but I do think that for this one in particular, it'll help me out a little bit as a guide. Let me just have it in Google Drive, so I'll download it. Please tell me in the comments where are you guys. I would love to know where. I'm assuming that we have a pretty international audience today, so please tell us in the comments where you guys are, so we know. And tell us also if you already know about Cemex Tech, and if you know about Disruptivo, or if this is the first time that you are learning about us. It'd be pretty cool to know. Um, while a little bit while I'm downloading the last version, the updated version of the presentation that you guys will be the first ones to know and to see. Oh my God, somebody's from Rwanda. That's awesome. I've been doing a lot of webinars and I've never had anybody from Rwanda, so that's the first. That's pretty cool. And Ariane Umuringa, I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce. A lot of hugs and a lot of love all the way to Rwanda. Awesome. I would love to know more about your project later and see what you guys are up to in Rwanda. Let us know. Let us know if there's any more people. Janelle calling from Trinidad and Tobago. Awesome. This is very cool. A lot of countries where I've never really had a lot of reach, so and never really connected with the audience. So it's really cool to see that you guys are also joining in. Let's see if we get more comments during the presentation. Also, please, like if you have questions, if you have anything else, please let us know. And I can stop. I don't really mind it. Like I'm not a. This is not a conference. I won't talk and talk and talk. I wanted to make it a little bit more interactive. So please comment, question, add ideas. No, tell me about your experiences, etc., etc., etc. We also have Gilles Toussaint from Berlin. I'm guessing that that last name is a little bit more French than it is German, so it's pretty cool. Awesome. So communicating. Let me just move a little bit. Okay. So communicating impact, right? Like I said, we are a Disruptivo and a media outlet, so our job is to communicate. And but communication is it's only a tool for a bigger purpose, which is inspiring people to take action. I first of all, I want to tell you, I believe that every one of us is a potential agent of change. I think we all have in us the tools, the skills, the potential to change the world we live in, either if it's our communities, our countries, the entire world. We only have to work to unlock that potential and to actually, make a resounding impact in the life of other people. But we have to detonate that potential. We have to make it actually convert it into something else. So that's what we do, and part of it is through communication. Why is it important to communicate? And I think this is a very important thing to start with, because I kid you not, I've been in organizations that and I think there's actually a lot of people that think like this, that say, well, if we're doing impact, who cares if we communicate it, right? Who cares if people know? There's even like a negative stigma about if you're doing impact, why do you want other people to know, right? Like if it was a thing for us to show off. I have actually had this myself, where I've had people tell me that I am a show off, more in the beginning that I started, because I used to come from an organization that didn't really want anybody to like brag about the work they're doing. And when I started working in Disruptiva and talking and creating all these interviews and stuff, people would criticize me because I just wanted fame and glory for myself for doing impact. So it was kind of silly actually, but a lot of people think like that. A lot of people think that I'll do my best and I'll keep my head down and don't talk about it. However, I think that's totally wrong, to be honest. Because if we don't communicate what we do, then it's not that people don't know, but people don't, like, our impact stops where we stop. Let's say we build houses. That's what I used to do in this organization. If you go this weekend and with 1,000 other volunteers and you build 500 houses, right, for people living in extreme poverty, and you don't talk about it, you don't post it on social media, you don't write a blog about it, you don't do a video, whatever, or whatever way you want to communicate it, then the impact stops at those 500 houses. I mean, it's great impact, but it's limited, right? There's still a lot more people out there in the world that need a house. But if you do a great communication strategy that tells people what did you do, if you tell the stories about the volunteers who built the houses and the people who got the houses built for them or with them, um, and you do this in a good way, in an inspiring and motivating way, then people that might have not gone to that construction project could also get inspired to take action. And I think in that way we not only have the potential to be agents of change, like I was saying before, but we also have the potential to be to detonate other people. If something like coronavirus can go viral, why shouldn't impact go viral as well, right? Why shouldn't we inspire more people to do amazing stuff? I have a thing tattooed on my arm, a quote that says, "The world's not going to change itself." It's a quote of mine, like I wrote it, or I thought about it. It's like the world's not going to change itself, right? But I think that I should tattoo on my other arm, like, we're not going to change the world on our own. Like, we need everybody to join. Like, we need social impact, and we need the movement of agents of change and social entrepreneurship to become massive, and for everybody to join and understand it. Maybe not everybody needs to become a social entrepreneur, but everybody definitely needs to put in their work. And the only way to do this is, again, to inspire others with the work we're already doing. And honestly, communication can be so easy once we get the hang of it, that it's a really simple way to increase the impact that we're doing. um, this is an example. Sorry if some of the examples are in Spanish, guys. All of my material is in Spanish, and I tried to translate it as much as we could, but I didn't have time to find some tweets. But I'll explain them. It's really not really that important that you guys read it. Basically, on the left, we have a tweet from a journalist in Mexico. He's very respected, and he's talking about a couple of guys that fought on the street. Like, they had they crashed their cars. They had a car accident, and they went down on the street. They went out of the cars and they fought. That's it. That's the news. Zero relevance. It's not important, but it creates in Mexico we say morbo. I don't know how to create it, but like this negative curiosity that people love to see other people fight, and people love to see this negative stuff, right? And I'm not saying it went viral, but it had a good response. Like, it had 200, almost 300 likes, and 155 reshares on Twitter, 68 people, 70 people commenting. It's not a massive tweet, but it's a good tweet. And it's about nothing really. Even it's a morbid curiosity. Thank you, Paul, for helping me translate. So yeah, it creates that morbid curiosity, right? On the other side, we have an organization in it says in Ethiopia. It's hard to translate sometimes the names. Well, a movement in Ethiopia that in one day they planted 300 million trees in one day. Now, the other is two guys fighting on the street because they crashed their cars. Like, nobody even died or anything. They just, like, fought, and they weren't even like good fighters, like kung fu fighters. That was an amazing fight, Jackie Chan versus Jet Li or whatever. No, it wasn't Keanu Reeves playing John Wick fighting like 100 guys. No, it was just two guys probably slapping each other. It had a massive response. And the other one is 300 million trees in a day. Can you imagine how much trees is that? I cannot even imagine, like, and it has 70 likes. It has less than a fifth of the other one. It has 35 reshares, a fifth of the other one. At one comment. It only sparked the curiosity, a positive curiosity of one person to write about it. So that's why we need a lot more good news. That's why we need a lot more impact communicating, because we are saturated normally with messages like this that spark our morbid curiosity, that make people feel bad about themselves, about the world. And we left out so many amazing things that are happening every day. I love that. I don't know if you've seen this. For example, what we're living in, and this talk is not only for times of coronavirus and this crisis and whatever, but it's really good to have it now, because right now I think we're living a very good example of this. No, all the time we are we are swamped, we are flooded with negative news. No, how many people are dying, how bad things are, how about the crises in other countries, how bad hospitals are, all of this news, in no, in this country bodies are on the street and everybody sick, and you can get so sick, and like, then you have your mom and your aunt texting you and sending you photos and links of videos. Some of them are even fake news, which is triple worse. So, but we are swamped with all the bad things, and the good news and the impact news is not really getting through. And so we need to change that narrative. It's important to communicate impact also because we can change the narrative of the country. Um, and I think that's a little bit what we can do. We're all of us are doing amazing work or want to do amazing work, but it's important to fight back that negative conversation. I don't know if you felt it, but I do feel a lot of anxiety whenever I'm on the news or on Twitter reading about all of Corona. I get anxious and I like block it out. I try not to read the news. I try not to be on Twitter as much because whenever I am, I get really anxious and it feels really bad. Well, with communicating our work, we can change that for everybody. We'd love to hear your comments and see if you guys agree with what I'm saying. I see that Gilles is actually from Belgium, not from France. Sorry about that, Gilles. But so let me know. Let me know if you agree that bad news are all over the place and good news not so much. For example, I love this. Well, we're actually going through to see a couple of successful examples. One that is not listed here, but I just want to mention is, I don't know if you've seen it. Actually, I think I can share the YouTube page. Um, one that I love, that I've been watching a couple of episodes in the last couple of weeks. It's a great way to like get clean of the coronavirus news, is to watch some cool stuff on YouTube. And this guy from The Office, let me stop sharing my screen so I can share this. I don't know if you guys saw The Office, the show. I love The Office. It's one of my favorite shows in the world. And the guy who plays Jim, the guy in The Office, his name is John Krasinski. He's an actor. He's a really cool actor. He's done a lot of cool things. But he actually launched a channel, a YouTube channel, just for, I don't know if he's gonna keep it going after the. Sorry, I opened YouTube and it started playing, but it's really loud. Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard it. I heard it and I almost went. Okay, so he started this YouTube channel. I think that you can see it now. Can you see it, Mariana? The YouTube
Yes,
of Some Good News?
everything's
Okay.
here.
So this guy started this channel that's called Some Good News. It's like super informal. Look, he's like wearing a tie and whatever, but he always shows, just like me, he's wearing sandals, no, and like that, and shorts, and he talks for like 30 minutes about good stuff that is happening. He shows videos of people rescuing a cat, or in the US, that graduations are really big. So since people were not having a graduation dance this year, he had Oprah come and be like the host of the graduation for everybody online. So he's done amazing things, and he connected with NASA. I am a fan of NASA and everything space related. So with like very simple concept of just telling good news on YouTube. Jim, as a lot of us know him, or basically John Krasinski, was sharing good news, was sharing the good vibe, and was sharing the awesome things we could do with impact. I'll send you the link later. I don't have the link of Some Good News in my presentation, but I think it's a really cool thing to share. So let's go back to the presentation. I have a couple of other examples that are a little bit more organized and that have been going for a little bit longer, that can tell us how can we also be successful, and how can communication help us in our projects. Because that's also one thing, like communication it's a two-way road. It creates positive impact, but it will also help you achieve your goals, right? um, this example is La Bioguía. It's an Argentinian site. It's not in English, so if you don't speak Spanish, I don't know if you can. I don't know if they have automatic translation. They might. I'm not really sure. But it's just for the example. So La Bioguía, it's an outlet focused on inspiring change. They talk a lot about environment, but they also talk about social impact sometimes. And so what they do is they basically share stories and cool practices. They share like very practical stuff, how to create your own compost in your house, how to turn all your plastic bottles into something useful, simple stuff like that. But also, like news about how the environment is improving or doing like. But instead of telling all the negative stuff, they tell you good news, but they also tell you how you can act, how you can actually be part of the change in in terms of environment. And I think that's amazing. They've amassed millions of followers, millions of they have a very big reach. They do amazing impact by telling this good news and by being very practical and teaching people how to do this kind of stuff and how to be part of the change. Another awesome example is Spark News. This one is actually in English. It's actually from France, I think, but they have it in English, in French, and in I think in Spanish as well. And these guys are sharing good news all the time, all year. They are sharing a lot of. I don't know what's going on, but my wife is awesome. She's behind me and she's crawling, so you don't see her, but I'm gonna show her to you guys. She's finding something. So, but just so she wasn't in the camera, she was crawling underneath. But I wanted to show her. Yeah, sorry, getting back to this. So Spark News is really cool. They share good news all the year, but I think it's once a year, they connect with a lot of like large media outlets, big newspapers, big television channels, big magazines and stuff, radio stations, obviously also big websites, and they invite them to only share good news that day. And it changes the whole panorama of information and news on that day, because you can see newspapers like the New York Times or Le Monde or El País, these global media outlets talking about what's good in the world, and which they normally don't talk about. So it's a really cool example. They've also have like a really incredible community. They impact on not only directly but indirectly with these partnerships that they build a lot of people. So these are some good examples of how communication can create a positive impact. But how to do it ourselves, and how can we create a impact communication, right? I want to share to you guys the formula that we have at Disruptivo. I want to say that a lot of people think that I studied communications. I did not. I have zero formal training in communication. So probably everything that I'm telling you is lacking a lot of the theoretical and more structured knowledge about communications and how it works. I studied business and I love communications, but I've never really studied it. So all my knowledge is practical. I'm a practitioner. I'm not I hate studying and I love reading, but I hate studying. So I have zero theory on this. This is only our practice. Okay. So if you find any gaps in what I'm telling you, please share them with me so we can see how can we improve. So yeah. So but we have built a media outlet and we have built a communication strategy that I want to share. And I want to start with our formula, because I think that each one of you, either with your social business or with whatever it is you have to create your strategy as well. You cannot not only think that communication is posting on social media. I mean, that's a big part of it. That's practical, but you have to start at building a strategy. And building a strategy actually starts at defining who you are and how do you want to impact through communication. Who do you want to get to? Who's your target audience? What's your kind of message, etc., etc., etc. For us, we built a formula, and that formula has helped us define our message and how should our message be. It's actually kind of simple. It doesn't have to be your formula. This is ours. You can copy it if you want it, but what I want is for you to build your own, right? This image is in Spanish. I'm sorry. I mixed it up with my team and it's not editable. Edible is neither. I cannot eat it, but I cannot edit it. So I'm sorry, but I'll translate it. It's really simple. So it basically has four different aspects. The first one is accessible language. Good job doing accessible language in Spanish when these webinars in English. It must always push a positive impact. It has to be digital. Everything has to born from digital. and it has to be attractive. It has to be attractive format. What does each one of these one mean? Accessible language means that everybody has to be able to understand it, right? When I started doing communication about social entrepreneurship, every almost all of the content was either in English and built for experts. So a lot of people in Mexico had never heard about social entrepreneurship because there wasn't really any content for them. There wasn't really any content that they could read about or hear or watch on video, because A, it was in another language, but B, even if you spoke English and you didn't know about it, it would be very hard because it was most content was built for people who already understand. This is what happens when you find, for example, like a big research, no, that or a big paper that I don't know the IDB or the World Bank promotes, and like, yeah, it's super technical, it has very complex language, like I won't understand it, I won't be able to read it, so it doesn't help grow the base of people. So what we want is completely the opposite of that. We want everybody to understand. So for me, my biggest goal is that my dad now understands what is social entrepreneurship, right? My dad has zero, like he doesn't even have an iPhone. Like he has no, he doesn't have a smartphone. He has an old phone. He's never turned on a computer. He doesn't have to turn on Netflix. Like he's blocked out of like everything that's happening. So obviously, I have to make it super accessible for him to understand what is social entrepreneurship. And now he understands it. I don't know how well he can explain it, but he understands what it is. Um, and that's what we want to reach. So everybody that can hear this, even if they've never heard about it, they can understand it. The second part is that it has to have always positive impact, right? And I'm going back to what the tweets that I showed you at the beginning. Every content that we publish, either a quote on Instagram, a a video on YouTube, a blog post, a book, if we do an event, if I give a conference, whatever it is that we are, if I give a talk, whatever it is that we do has to inspire people to take action. You'll never see me complaining about the government on Twitter or on Facebook. It's not that I love our government. I don't, but I think that complaining doesn't take us anywhere. Like I'll do a proposal, like I'll propose something, some next step, some action that we can take. I don't believe that we have to be waiting for somebody else to change the world. I used to love a song. I don't know if you guys know John Mayer. He's very famous for a song called "Your Body Is a Wonderland." I'm not talking about that song. He has another song that is "Waiting for the World to Change." When I first heard it, I loved it, but then when I listened to the lyrics, I was like, this song is stupid because it's saying that he says basically that young people want a different world, but we're waiting for the world to change because we're not in charge right now. It's like, this guy is dumb. Because we cannot wait for the world to change, we have to change it ourselves, and that's why we want to communicate with impact. So if I ever were to sing as good as John Mayer does, I would sing a song saying we're working for the world to change, not waiting for the world to change, and telling you in the song how you can do it. So all of our content has to inspire people to take action, right? All of our content has to, or at least motivate them, or bring them a smile. I have a thread on Twitter that is and I thought about this before John Krasinski, and it's one good news. So every day I share one good thing that's happening in the world, even if it's thing that happened in the past, it doesn't matter. But if it's something positive, we can share it. The third component is that it has to be digital native, and what do I mean by this? Like, come on, guys, it's 2020. If you watch an episode of Friends, it's so old. Like, like we are in a new world, in a new century. Even whatever world existed before social media and the computer is gone, with this crisis more so, because now everything's going digital. Whoever didn't understand that the internet was a positive force is now understanding it because of this crisis. Everybody's connected, and everybody's on their phones all day, and everybody is on their computers and online, right? So so we have to think digital. We have to think that the content must be digital. We have to understand the channel. We have to understand what social media works for what, in order so we can build effective communication strategies. So we are trying all the time different stuff in Disruptivo, to see what works and what doesn't. You have to be up to date to what channels work. You don't have to become a social media guru, but you do have to kind of know what. The good thing is that social media, and all of the digital channels democratize content. Before, if you wanted a post or some media to talk about your social business, you had to hire a PR firm, or you had to do a big job to get yourself on the news. Now you can just write the news yourself, to be honest, and tell your own story, and it can, I don't know, I don't care if it goes viral or not, but it can become spread out, and it can reach people, right? So you have to think digital, you have to understand how digital works. And the fourth format is, it has to be in attractive formats. The fourth aspect of our formula, sorry, it has to be on attractive formats. What do I mean by this? um, Remember that I was saying in the beginning that these papers, these scientific papers built and published by organizations like the World Bank, nobody reads that honestly. I have there's a number that I always share that it shocks me. It says that only 16% of papers published by the World Bank have been downloaded once, which means that 84% have been downloaded 0 times. Not even the researcher's mom entered and downloaded the paper. Like, not even her. So why? Because it's not easy to read. It's like, I have my dad's thesis on my bookshelf, and maybe I'll read it sometime, but it's a complicated thing to read. It's hard. Thankfully, I didn't have to write a thesis, because otherwise I would not have graduated college. But you have to be accessible, you have to be simple, things have to be bright, and they have to catch the eye. We are bombarded, I don't know and if, we have a lot of people connected right now, and I know a lot of you guys are really good on internet. So if anybody can get me the data, the fact of how many messages we receive in a day online, um, it'll be amazing. But I can tell you right now, it's a fuck lot of messages. Like, we get on our phone or on our TV, on the car if we are in the car, on the streets, everywhere we are bombarded with messages, right? So you have to stand out. You have to understand what works on Instagram, what works on LinkedIn, what works on Facebook, what is attractive. Now, short videos are super attractive. Do short videos. Don't do, like, I mean, you can do a 1 hour video that if it's good, people will watch it. But you have to understand how it's not about time; it's about it being attractive. A good example that I always love, that breaks a lot of paradigms about this, is that one of my favorite podcasts is called Hardcore History. I really recommend. It's zero thing to do with impact. It's about history. Uh, every episode lasts between 2 and 4 hours, and it's published once every 6 months. But every time that it gets published, it gets millions of downloads. So it doesn't have to be small, it doesn't have to be short, it can be long if you want. But this guy is so good, the format is so attractive, the way he narrates the stories that he's telling, that people love it. So you have to be attractive, right? You have to catch people's attention. I have a question from Eduardo del Cid Soto. Very your last name has a lot of pump. Del Cid. Um, the communication as a TV, street marketing, etc. Is it useful in 2020? It's a good question. I would say that depending on who you are, it's attractive. In Mexico, for example, I there are two. There's a lot of these billboards, right? There's a lot of companies that do billboards, and the walls are all covered in advertising. And I can tell you right now that people, we haven't been out of our houses in a while, but I can tell you that in any regular day, people would not be able to tell you what advertisements they saw on the street coming on their from their house to their office every day. I don't know, Mariana, if we can see Mariana right now. If you remember one or two billboards that you see from your house to your office. But I will tell you that there are two companies that Mariana will of course know, because and they only do billboards advertising. One is a bookstore called Gandhi, and the other one is an egg company called Bachoco. And these are the only two effective companies. This is, I'm telling this, so maybe another there are other ones, but these are the two most effective companies that they do advertising billboards. Gandhi is big yellow billboards with a very simple phrase. It's normally a joke, like a double. How do you say this? A double standard? No, it's not double standards. That it has like a double meaning. Uh, and they actually put them as billboards, but then they go viral online because people take them photos and upload them to photos. So they're very effective, right? And they have one, for example, that says less face and more book, right? It's super simple. It's like 4 words, but it went super viral. Right now they have one that says waiting for good news or something like that. Like, it's very, very simple stuff that is very effective. And the company with the eggs, Choco, who literally sells eggs and chicken. That's all they sell. And they have these very funny examples that I don't know if the joke is going to translate well to English, but in Mexico we have a lot of ways of preparing eggs, right? And preparing chicken. And for example, we have huevos rancheros. You've probably heard huevos rancheros. It's 2 eggs with sauce and a tortilla underneath it. But what they do is they put a big picture of an egg with a hat, boots, and a gun, and they say huevo ranchero, because the ranchero also means a guy in Mexico who works on a ranch and huddles the cattle and stuff like that. And it's funny, right? And then so there's a lot of examples like that. And these are the two only that work. So it's not that TV doesn't work. It's not that street marketing doesn't work. It depends on who you are. What I would tell you is, as an entrepreneur, you don't have money for it. Don't spend your money on that, because you need a lot of money for it to be effective. And I think that it's much cheaper and much more effective if you target the right audiences in online. For example, I don't want to get into paid advertising because uh, I don't want to get into paid advertising because it's very technical. But the one thing that I will say is that in places like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, even more so, you can target specifically who you want to see your ads. The people that have people from, I don't know, 15 to 21 years old that live in this specific neighborhood in Belgium. That's super specific. If you put a billboard on the street, a lot of people will watch it. That it's people that's not really your audience, so you're paying for people who's not your audience to see it. No, so it's a lot of dollars that are going to the garbage. So as an entrepreneur, when you're starting, focus on more specific. But I would tell you, even as you start, don't even do paid media on social media. First, do organic media. Do organic content. Okay, so going back, there's another question. Should impact communication, and this comes from Marianne Umuringa from Rwanda. Should impact communication always be positive communication? This is personal, Ariane. I think it should be most of the times. I'm assuming that your question, and correct me if I'm wrong, comes from saying that you can also talk about the problem. You can also talk about the negative aspects of what's going on in the world. And what I want to tell you about this is that people don't really want to know that. It's not that it's not important to talk about the problem. It's just that people have a lot of problems already in their minds, in their lives. Everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. So people normally don't really want to know about more problems. But if you switch the conversation and instead of talking about the problem, you talk about a successful story of somebody solving that problem, you're mentioning the problem, but you're inspiring people through a successful story. We actually did, and I'm not making this up, but you're actually, I don't know if, can people see me or cannot they only see my presentation?
No, we
Because
can.
I see Mariana. You can see me as well? Okay. Because otherwise I can for these things I can stop the presentation and then come back. So for example, we actually did intake. I'm not saying this just because I feel like it, but we actually did when I was in an NGO before. We did a market research, and that's what actually came out. People didn't really like our communication before because it focused on the problem of poverty. But when we switched it to telling the stories about the volunteers, about the families, to telling like the things that were actually happening. People loved that. Um, there's a really viral video that went out in Mexico last year that we can share later. Again, it's in Spanish. Sorry, guys. A lot of normally what happens is when I'm talking to a Spanish audience, a lot of my examples are in English, and today all my examples are in Spanish. I don't know why that's happening, but anyway, this video came out and say no, Mexico, and it had a lot of stock footage of Mexico and the streets and the people, and it talked about how we faced many crises and odds, and we've always had problems, but we always come through. And it's really cool. It has really cool music. It's actually kind of simple video, but it was really impactful, and it became super viral. But I'm talking like millions and millions and millions and millions of views. It's actually from an agency called Hunters. Um, if that video were had the same stock footage, the same music, but it's Mexico, has so much poverty, so much inequality, people would have switched it off at the first second, because people don't want to know about more problems in their life. So you have to find a positive way to impact it. One very cool example, and I'm gonna get to, I think that actually the next part of the next part of the talk. Now that I'll finish with this answer, is actually some resources that you guys can take to get started. One resource that I did not put in the list, but I will mention it right now. It's a book called Thirst by the founder of Cherry Water, and it's a really good book. I love it. The first part is a little bit boring about this story growing up. I personally didn't like it. You might love it. That's personal as well. But later he talks about his story with Cherry Water, and it's very cool because he's very good at marketing, at storytelling, and he tells about how he, for example, went to countries in Africa where they don't have water, and they build wells, right? And so he published these videos and these stories about the communities and how the well brings the water for the first time, and that's helped him a lot. So he's talking about people in Africa that don't have water, but he's not trying to make you feel bad about it, because it always comes with a happy ending. It always comes with the well and with the actual impact, and that's what motivates people to give him money, and so he can build more well. So I do believe that it always have to have a positive note to catch people's attention. I was going to say a last thing about this. Um, no, I think that's it. So yeah, like I personally believe that the more positive you are about it, the more you will be able to engage with people instead of ostracizing them. No, instead of having them don't want to get involved. So I hope that, Ariane, that answers your question, right? Again, you don't have to. Yeah, I remember what I wanted to say. So the good example is Charlie Water, right? The bad example is an ad that I always criticize from an organization called. Ah, I forgot the name, and it's okay to have forgotten it, but because the organization is good and they do really good impact, they do really good work, but the communication, at least it used to be terrible. I think now they've improved it, but what they did before was there was this ad with an actor, a Latin American actor, walking on a slum, on extreme poverty slum, with a kid on his hand, and he was walking on the street. He's properly dressed and everything, and this kid is all her clothes are ragged and broken and old, and she's walking barefoot on a very rough place. It's not a street because it doesn't have pavement, but it has rocks and garbage and stuff like that. And he watches the camera, and he has a kid on his hand, and he's saying, "This is Anita. Anita is so poor that she cannot buy a pair of shoes. Without your help, Anita and her parents will never be able to buy her a pair of shoes." And then the camera makes a zoom, like a very close, like a very big zoom on Anita's face. And she's like all covered with mud, and like she cried, and she has a booger. And it's terrible. It sucks because it wants to make you feel pity for Anita. But what that's doing, first of all, is he's telling Anita in her face, to her face, that she cannot do it without the donors, that she cannot do it without somebody else helping out, and that's terrible. Communication and every not a communication, but everything we do in impact should empower the people. should empower the people that we want to impact, because we won't be there forever, and we shouldn't. And it's way better if everybody can empower and get out of the problems themselves, instead of waiting for us to come and save them. But also, he's, instead of motivating people to do something, he's trying to make you feel bad about it because you have money and you have shoes and she doesn't. So what are you going to do? You're going to give 1 peso, $1, maybe two, maybe five, whatever, to clean your consciousness. That's what charity used to do. Charity before was, you are very well, people on other sides of the world are doing terrible, you should help them out, because otherwise you are a terrible person. And I personally think that sucks, and I don't think that's effective, because people end up buying their good feeling, and that's not sustainable in the end, because I'll give you 1 peso or $1 and then I'll feel amazing, right? So no, you have to inspire, because if you inspire people, they'll give more, or they'll get more involved, or they'll, what we were saying at the beginning, they will get inspired to do something themselves. So instead of making them feel bad, make them feel empowered and make them feel inspired, right? So, okay, I'm going back to the presentation to show you guys some of the resources. And please start sending more questions. I want to maybe have five, maybe 10 more minutes of talking, and then going back to some more questions. So I want to send you some resources. We had this talk 2 weeks ago, and I promised Mariana some resources that I haven't sent her. Sorry. Last week it was my birthday, so I got disconnected for the whole week. I needed a break, so I went outside the city. I escaped the coronavirus, and I got disconnected. But I'll send you guys everything this week. I've actually copied a lot of resources, and I have a big list of links that will make you like very simple stuff that will help you like do images for social media, a lot of books that will explain you about email marketing, podcasting, and there's a lot of like, it's really a bible for resources. I actually want to make it, I don't want to sell it because it's a lot of links to content that I haven't made, but I do want to make it like a downloadable thing, a cool because, but since you guys are in the network of Cemex Tech, I'll give it to you guys just like that. But out of that, there's a few that I think are the best that I want to share with you. At least they're the ones that have worked the most for me. The first one is Brand the Change. This is it's a book, but I would say it's more like a toolkit. Oh, sorry about that. My dogs get really excited when somebody comes in front of the house. Uh, so Brand the Change is a toolkit that you can download. It has I think it has a free version and a paid version. If it has a paid version, I would recommend that you pay for it, because these are also entrepreneurs that want to create positive impact. So always it's better to help entrepreneurs instead of finding some way to download it for free. They probably have a simpler free version, so maybe you can start with that and then go on for the one. But this one will help you with the basics, which is define your vision, define your mission, and build a brand for your impact. And I think it sounds very basic. Like coming from business school, for me, whenever people talk about mission and vision, it can be super boring, honestly. It can be like, oh my God, it's the most theoretical thing ever. It doesn't really work. But I'll tell you, the way these guys use it, the way these guys actually make it, you really understand the need to having a strong vision and a good defined mission. It will definitely change the way you work and your company and your team works, because we've talked about a lot of communicating the impact outside, but also communicating the impact inside of the company is also super important. So brand the change, very good. It will help you if you have a strong mission, a strong vision, and a strong brand, then all of your messages to the outside world will be more consistent and will be stronger. So I really recommend it. The next one is the golden circle. And this one, if you guys haven't seen, if you're watching me talk and you haven't seen this TED talk, you're wasting your time. Go, please disconnect and go watch this TED talk. I think it's one of the most viewed TED talks of all time, and it's awesome because it's so bad. Like it has so bad quality. It's not like one of these big TED stages with high definition. It's somewhere in some university in the U.S. But this guy, Simon Sinek, now he's become more famous, but he started out with this, and it's a theory on how to communicate. He tells that all of us, when we're trying to sell something, we talk about the product, like, oh, buy my, let me see, buy my fork, right? I was having breakfast right before I talked to you guys because I've been in calls all morning. So sorry, it's dirty. It has green sauce because I had some quesadillas. So buy my fork. With my fork, you will be able to cut your food. So first you say talk about the what, the project, the product. Then you talk about the what it does. No, it actually helps you cut your food, and why? Why? Because you need it to eat. And but this guy changes the narrative and tells first talk about the why people should buy your product, the why people should connect and be part of your community. Then talk about the how it works, and finally about the what. Your product should be the last thing you talk about. And when you switch your communication to that, I won't do the example with the fork because I've never done so. I have to think about it. It might be a little complicated. But when you hear this guy explain it, it's really simple. He actually on side of the TEDx, he actually has a book that you can also download. Takes you step by step. It's really good. Help you do a really good communication strategy. So these first two are more strategy, are more I don't want to say theoretical, but it'll help you build the first part, which is also strategy, the basis. It's not practical stuff, but it's very important. But these two second resources, sorry about that, are very, very, very practical. So this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, I love him. He's really good. He talks about a lot of stuff. He's tended more towards entrepreneurship in the last couple of years, but he actually started out uh, talking about marketing and social media and how to use social media to create to start a business and to be an entrepreneur and everything like that. Um, Eduardo del Cid is saying that Gary is awesome. I agree. Gary is really, really cool. So I recommend if you go to his webpage and you write Gary Vaynerchuk, he has a lot of stuff. He has very practical guides on talking about social media. He has one that's called the the funnel. I think it's called the funnel that we use a lot in Disruptivo. He has one that says how to produce 64 pieces of content a day. It's also very practical, very cool stuff. But when he started out talking about marketing, because before he had another business about wine, and he tell you about this book. On this book, he told you about it. But when he started talking about marketing, his podcast, and it's a podcast, it's a video show, it's a book, whatever you want. That was called Ask Gary V. And so what he would do is he would take questions from the audience and he would answer them in like short 30-minute. In 30 minutes, he might answer 10 questions, right? And it's really cool. Really, it's motivational, but it's also very practical. So then he summarized the best answers and he put them in this book. If you want to start from zero with Gary Vee, I recommend this book, the Ask Gary Vee book, especially if you can listen in on audiobooks. It's amazing because he gets off the script, he adds more stuff than in the book. I loved it. I heard it, and then I went and bought 10 books and I've given them all out. So I don't have one for you guys right now, but there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from Gary. Go to his podcast, his books, his guides, especially the Ask Gary Vee, the first Ask Gary Vee episodes that I recommend. And the last one is Smart Passive Income. This is super practical, super to the point. This is a guy called Pat Flynn that he's personally my like he doesn't know it, of course he doesn't know me, but he's like he's been an amazing teacher for me. Like I told you guys, I never really studied communications in school. So what I did when I started with Disruptivo was I learned everything on podcasts and audiobooks and videos, and a lot of that was from this guy, from Pat Flynn. I think he's the best one at this. There's a lot of other ones, but Pat is, I think, the best. If you go to his webpage smartpassiveincome.com, or you can just Google Smart Passive Income. This is all in the list that I'm giving you guys with Mariana of resources. Um, he has, for example, one landing page only to teach you how to do a podcast, one how to do ebooks, one how to do video, one how to sell. So he has very concrete stuff, very practical how to guides, one to like step by step on how to do communication. So they are not focusing on social impact. That part, I'll tell you about that part. But these guys are expert on communications and on marketing. And obviously, you have to add what we talked about: the positive impact, the inspiration, that on the detonating the potential to change the world. You have to add that part. But at least in this, you'll find the technical skills and the tactical skills to do awesome communication. So Those are the four main resources that I want to share with you guys. I'll send a lot more via web, via Mariana. I think you guys all have to register, right? And also, Mariana, if that's okay, I can share my WhatsApp so all of you guys can connect and write to me. My English today is terrible. If my dad heard this, and after all the school he sent me to learn English, he would be really disappointed. I haven't spoken English in a while. Sorry, guys. But no, obviously we can connect on WhatsApp. On English, that's okay. In English. But also, if you don't have WhatsApp, because I know not a lot of countries don't use WhatsApp, especially the US. I don't know why, but that they don't use it. I don't know in Rwanda, for example, if you use WhatsApp, Ariane, it would be cool to know. I think Europe mostly they do. Uh, but if you have WhatsApp, my number, I'll write it down, but I'll also tell it because I know there's people on YouTube and people will watch it later. It's the plus sign 52155. That's the country. They do use WhatsApp in Rwanda. So Ariane, you have no excuses. You have to write to me now. So I have a friend in Rwanda. That would be amazing. So the Mexican country code is plus 521, and then the number is 55 22 46 83. There you go. 55 22 46 83 32. I'm writing it down right now, and I'm asking Anna if you have the on YouTube. I'll send here that it's Juan's WhatsApp, so everybody knows who it is. Otherwise, please, you find me in all of the social networks. I want to start an actually English Instagram account and English LinkedIn account. I haven't, so sorry. It's there, so you'll find it, but it's not active right now. But if you look for me as Juan del Cerro, you can write to me there, and we can connect. If you don't have WhatsApp, otherwise you have the number. If you missed it, don't worry. Go back 40 seconds and you'll find it. So we can connect, and I can send you a lot of the links, and I can answer a lot of your questions. So we have a few minutes. I think Mariana has more talks after this. I'm not so sure. So we do have a couple more minutes if there's any questions anybody wants to answer. I see there's a lot of good comments. Thank you, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this talk. It's been interesting. This is a subject that I normally don't talk about, even though we do it all the time. So I do hope, please let me know if it's useful for you. That's the most important thing, that this is of value for you guys. So please let us know. And I don't know if there's any more questions. This is your chance.
From Eduardo, way up in the chat, it says, so as a brand, don't we have to communicate about what's happening, even if it's a bad thing?
Okay. So yeah, I see it now. I think it's very similar to what Ariane was talking. No, should we only communicate positive? No, the answer is no. Like, the answer is not. I don't want you guys to believe that we should not talk about the bad things. Like, we should say paint everything pink, no, and then say like, oh, everything is going great, when it's not. But our communication should always strive towards a positive with poverty, and you only talk to me about poverty. I have a lot of information about problems. I have a lot of personal problems first. Then I go online and find a lot of problems already. So when I'm online, why do you guys go online? Why do you guys go? Why, Mariana? Why do you go on Instagram? Do you have Instagram? Yes, of course, we're connected. Do you like Instagram, Mariana?
Yes, I use it a lot.
Why do you use Instagram?
Just to get my mind off of things.
Of what things? Of negative things, of course. You go there to have fun, don't you? You have fun on Instagram, right? So people are on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on the TV, on whatever, to have fun. And fun doesn't mean it has to be stupid. Fun doesn't mean it doesn't have to care about the problems, right? But you have to do it in a way that catches people's attention. Like, you have to be entertaining. When I talk about positive impact, it's not that you only have to talk about good things, but it's that you have to try to generate positive impact with your communication. You want to talk about a problem, get it out there, awesome, but then tell people what they can do. Have a call to action. Invite people to do something. For example, right now, there's so many information about coronavirus that you just skip through it. Like you won't read anything, and I assure you, you won't read right now any articles that is talking about who is dying because or what is happening. If it's only about thing, but if there is a proposal that you can sign to make your government take action, then you will get into it and you'll read it and you'll take action. So it's not about coronavirus. It is talking about coronavirus, but it's creating positive impact in the terms of it's invited to do something. Maybe I didn't explain myself in that way. So it's not only talk about the good stuff and forgetting about the bad stuff, but it's trying to generate positive impact with the message. And positive impact might be inviting people to take action, or sharing an inspirational story, or something that will ignite something in the people, right? In your community, in your audience. So it's not that everything is in Mexico we say color de rosa, no, the color of pink. Everybody's pink, everything is nice. No, the world is awesome. It's not that. Obviously, the world goes through a lot of bad shit, but it's what can we do about that shit? What that matters, because what we want is more people to participate and to take action. For example, you have a product, uh, super concrete, no, super focused. If you have a product that you're selling that generates impact, tell me about the problem, but tell me more about your product and how can I buy your product and create impact? Very positive, impact. Very good way for me to generate impact, to help solving the problem, and for you to have a sustainable business. That's it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Juan. Eduardo said
Thank you.
likes it.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. No, thank you so much, Mariana, to all the team at Cemex Tech. I love being part of this initiative of connecting with people from so many awesome countries. It's really amazing how far can we reach with this. Imagine that right now, Ariane. I'm sorry that I use as an example right now, but imagine that Ariane right now decides to take action and do something with what I taught her, right? Now I just inspired with 1 hour of my time. I just inspired somebody in Rwanda, literally the other side of the world, to do something positive. That's why communication is important. That's why talking about this is important. Because we never know where or who is going to see it or hear it or read about it, and it's going to change somebody else's life. So that's I think the point of this whole talk. Communication can be an amazing tool for igniting and inspiring other people to build together the world that we want, which is why we're here, right?
Definitely. And to inspire others into action.
Awesome.
So thank you everyone for connecting with us and with Juan. Just as a last message for everyone, as I told you in the beginning, this series of webinars are promoted by the Cemex Tech Award, and we just communicated everyone that we are extending the time frame for receiving projects. So we will be receiving projects 1 more month until June 30th. So if you're a social entrepreneur, or if you have a social project, we invite you to participate. I know that, for example, Robert, which is here with us, he was a winner last year of the Cemex Tech Award. So I'm going to leave you the link to our webpage with the English information. It's also in Spanish. We receive nominations. We receive projects in English or in Spanish. So we are welcoming you to participate. We will be sending you the info via email with all Juan's material. And well, one more time, thanks you for being with us. Thank you, Juan.
If all goes well and coronavirus allows us, we'll meet each other in Monterrey if you apply for the award. Hopefully Mariana will invite me, and we'll be there in the final. No, it really, guys, like I have my own accelerator, I have my own contests. We have a media, so we share everything that's happening. Honestly, Cemex Tech it's one of the coolest awards. It has a lot. Cemex Tech has a lot of networks, a lot of in the world, like not only Mexico, in the world. So it really matters, and it's a great opportunity to connect and to participate.
Yeah, and to,
So apply. Like the worst you can do, the worst that can happen if you don't get selected is that you don't get selected. Nothing happened. Like
yeah,
zero. It's zero. The negative aspect of it's zero. You'll get a lot of no's in your life if you want to be an entrepreneur. But if you do get selected, then you're in for an amazing ride. So come on, like
you'll
don't be
get,
shy. Apply. Don't wait for the last minute. Don't be Mexican in that way, please.
yeah,
Show us that in Rwanda and in Belgium and in every other country, you guys can apply not at the last minute. Even Mexicans can do it as well. So I am trusting everybody in Mexico to do it. So don't wait for the last minute. Apply now because you'll get mentoring. You'll get a lot of stuff, even if you don't win. So it's really, really cool.
yeah, and you'll get
Uh,
entrepreneurs from all over the world, which is amazing.
it really
So,
is.
well, we're on time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Juan, and we'll connect soon.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.